Please.
She's with the LaRouche Organization, and she's going to quickly explain to you. We're not giving you a lecture tonight.
Oh, no.
She's going to quickly explain 5 or 10 minutes what BRICS is. If you haven't heard about it on the mainstream media, I met Nina when I went to the Bernie Sanders meeting out at the Musicians Union in Hollywood before he threw with Cindy took me. Before he threw his thing in the ring to run for president, and he didn't know anything about BRICS. He said he didn't know enough about it to discuss it yet. We have...
Except he doesn't believe it. Okay, I'll be brief. My name is Lena Platt. I'm with the LaRouche Political Action Committee. And what I wanted to talk about very quickly, how many people in this room have heard about the BRICS? B-R-I-C-S. Okay. So the LaRouche Political Action Committee is leading an international drive to get the United States to reject the policy of war, perpetual war, and to join the BRICS nations. I'll show you this quickly. The BRICS nations are Brazil for the B, Russia for the R, India, I, China, South Africa, who last July 2014, in Fortaleza, Brazil, established a new economic system and a new payment system as a counter and to replace the International Monetary Fund, the hated International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, which have been looting and destroying particularly third world nations for many, many years through debt. Debt, just like your credit card debt, except this is with the lives of millions of people in third world countries. And so they formed this organization, alliance I should say. They set up a new bank called the New Development Bank, and they're building a number of projects, the first which you might have heard of, which is a canal across Nicaragua to replace the Panama Canal. And they're widening the Suez Canal, but this schematic here is what they're going to build, which is a high-speed train from South Africa through Europe, and many of you know that China, Japan, India are building these high-speed rails, but they're going to build one all the way down to Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. Now this is the missing link right now. Most of the world has joined this new system because they know the United States is bankrupt and Europe is bankrupt. The transatlantic financial system, which has dominated the world, particularly after World War II, is bankrupt. And you may be hearing in the news about Greece. Greece is about to dump the euro, which means Portugal, Spain, Italy, a chain reaction collapse of the European financial system, which redounds on our system because, as you know, with the deregulation, we all got sucked up in the derivatives and the mortgage-backed securities and all that racket, which is global. It's not just in the United States. So this is what's on the table. This is 250 million jobs. But what is most important, look, right now when we're talking here, and I know the map doesn't show the countries, but hopefully you can get an idea. I wish I had brought a better map. I've got a smaller one there, but you probably won't see it. But right now, the United States, is about to deploy intermediate, you heard it in the video about Reagan and Gorbachev signing something to reduce intermediate range nuclear missiles. Well, the United States, under President Obama, is about to put the same missiles, new missiles, back in Ukraine, which is on the border with Russia, which is why we're on the brink of confrontation. Then also to put them in the Baltic states. Then we're in Iraq, Iran, Libya, we're bombing Syria. War, perpetual war. So what this represents, what this thing represents here, thanks, is we're not going to like each other necessarily and adopt each other's ideology. But we come from the standpoint that in the 21st century, war has viewed as obsolete. Because wars, the Russians are not going to fight the conventional war, you shoot me and you bomb me, I bomb you back. They're going for the whole thing, as Vladimir Putin has said. So the question is, what is the strategy that we can come up with that can get us working together for mutual benefit that would trump our ideological and political differences? That's what the BRICS represents. It now encompasses more than 65% of the world's population. As most of you know, we're in debt to China, $3 trillion, maybe it's more by now. We're in debt to India, some fantastic amount, not quite as much. And what we've done, starting under Bush, with the war policy, is to bail out the same Wall Street bankers you fellow was talking about at the end, that destroyed the economy, that outsourced the jobs overseas for cheap labor, and then when their racket collapsed, Bush started the bailout, Obama massively expanded the bailout. And so now you've got a situation where we, instead of sticking with a bankrupt financial system, because we've got a certain prejudice that says, we rule the world. We are now the only superpower. Even if we don't have a dime in our pocket and we're in hop to China and who knows that. But we are going to rule the world through military force. Or we can say, how do we collaborate for mutual benefit using economics, since that's the big, the fundamental question, so that our political and ideological differences can be set to one side. This is the challenge of today, and it's going to come very quickly, because the response to what Greece is doing can be war. If Greece pulls the plug on the financial system, the London and Wall Street boys could decide, we're going to go to war. And these wars in this era, unless they're going to be for 100 years, like Afghanistan or something, you're never going to win it. And with somebody like Vladimir Putin in power, who runs a country that lost 25 or 27 million people during World War II, he's not playing. So our job is to get the United States to be humble enough to give up our what's the word I want? Chauvinism, and say, okay, there is no longer a unipolar world. There's a bunch of powers around that are richer than us, have bigger populations than us. How do we collaborate and bring the whole world up? Incidentally, which was the policy of John Kennedy, who, from your history, you remember, confronted Khrushchev in the Cuban Missile Crisis when Khrushchev was about to put missiles in Cuba. Just in the reverse today, where we're about to put missiles in Ukraine on Russia's border. So the BRICS represent an opportunity to change the rules of the game of statecraft, to change the rules of the game by which politics is conducted. And most of the world has joined, and even the Europeans have now joined the Asia Infrastructure and Investment Bank. And, we're sitting here talking about where we're going to put U.S. soldiers and weapons next. So we got an opportunity to change the rules of the game if we just have the idea, let's cooperate. Kennedy's idea of an alliance for progress, of peace through development. So that's what I wanted to say, and thank you very much for your attention.
I'm with Legend Mobile, and it's a phone company like Boost, that PCS